Hi boys and girls, this is lesson 11.5. It's an investigate lesson, so we will have a little problem solving. You're looking at fractions and volume. So we've been working with area and surface area. Now we're going to move on to volume. I think you've done volume before in 5th grade, maybe even 4th grade. I personally think that it's easier than surface area, but you'll have to tell me what you think. Our objective is I can find the relationship between volume and the lengths that include fractions. We are going to be doing fraction practice today, so make sure that you're feeling good about fractions. So what is volume? Volume is the number of cubic units it takes to fill a rectangular pyramid. Well, that should say prism, sorry. Let me change that. Rectangular prism without any gaps or overlaps. A unit cube is a cube with a side length of 1. So that's a really long and confusing definition, but basically the way I like to think about volume is if I had, let's say, a fish tank, the volume is how much water is in the fish tank, how much it can hold, okay? Similar to capacity, very similar term. Another thing you could think about is what if I had a box of cereal? How much cereal could fit into the box if it was packed in tight? So without any gaps is one of those keywords in there. Now, volume is cubed. So instead of doing like an area where we did 47 inches squared, it is 47 inches cubed, or with a little 3. That's what that cubed means, because volume is an actual full shape of a cube. Now, I want you to look at this picture. I looked at this picture for a long time and I was very confused by what it meant. But take a look at this. Is 1 unit cube. And in 1 unit cube, if we have a unit cube that's half the size of it, or a half unit across, you'll notice that it takes multiple half units to fill up 1 unit. So picture in your mind for a second, how many unit cubes would it take to fill up this box? If I drew one, let's see if I can draw these. Drew one right next to it. Okay, drew one behind it and one on the back side. That would be 4 on the bottom level, and then we would still have 4 more on the top level. Very, very sloppy drawings here. So something that you need to realize is that there are 8 half unit cubes in 1 unit cube. Okay. Which is just kind of interesting to know. I'm not sure exactly why it's important to know, but just so that you're aware that there are 8 half-size unit cubes in 1 full unit cube. So, and we're going to investigate this a little bit. I need to give you a net, so if I haven't done that, please remind me to give you the net. And you're going to use some half-centimeter cubes to fill the sides of a jewelry box. So a jewelry box, hopefully you can read this, it's a little blurry. A jewelry box has a length of 3.5 units, a width of 1.5 units, and a height of 2 units. What is the volume of the box in cubic units? So first of all, each of the cubes in this activity has a side length of half a unit. I'm going to give you little units to work with. How many cubes with side length half does it take to form 1 unit cube? Now we already talked about that. It takes 8 half unit cubes to fill up a full 1 unit cube. So each smaller cube represents 1/8 of a unit cube. Oops, that was really sloppy. Oh, where'd my 8 go? Sorry, I pushed a weird button. I should say 1/8. Now here's the activity part. I want you to cut out the net. Then you're going to fold and tape the net into a rectangular prism, but leave one face open so you can put the little boxes inside of it. Pack the prism with the cubes. And then count how many cubes that were 1/2 did it take to fill up that prism. Okay, I want you to do that. And then once you find that number, you're going to find the volume of the jewelry box in unit cubes by dividing it by 8. So take this number, what you write here, and bring it down here, divide it by 8, and then it'll give you an improper fraction that you have to change to a mixed number. Go go ahead and try that. If you have questions or if you'd like me to solve it with you, please let me know because it is kind of a tricky operation. So you'll definitely need to pause the video here if you haven't done the activity yet and go back. But if you are ready to move forward because you finished your activity, then let me show you another way you could have done that. So to find how many unit cubes are in the jewelry box, you can use this formula. You can use the formula for volume, for volume is length times width times height. Or the area of the base times the height. We combined length times width and called it the area of the base. Or V equals LWH, length times width times height. Much easier to do. So if my jewelry box dimensions, my length was 3.5 units. I'm going to label that here. This is 3.5 units. Length is the long one. My width is the one that's kind of going back, was 1.5 units. And my height was 2 units. So if I'm going to throw all these numbers into my formula, I'll do 3.5 times my width 1.5 times my height of 2. Now do not be tricked because remember you cannot multiply by mixed numbers. I'm going to estimate first though. Boys and girls, if I'm estimating this, I have 3 times 1, which would be 3 times 2. My estimate is going to be somewhere around 6. Okay? Let's try this. Remember, I need to switch these to improper fractions. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7 halves. Times by 1 times 2 is 3, plus 1. 1 times 2 is 2, plus 1 is 3 halves. Times, and I can change this to an improper fraction by just putting a 1 underneath it. Okay. 7 times 3 times 2 is 42. 2 times 2 times 1 is 4. I need to divide that back in. 1 and 0. And then looks like 10 and 2/4 or 10 and 1/2. Then we have units cubed. So that should have been the answer you got in the last problem anyway, but that's just an easier way to do it in my mind because I'm just multiplying fractions. So if you're confident in your multiplying fraction skills, then you're going to be good at this. So here we have another rectangular. Why do I keep writing prism when I want to write pyramid? Or sorry, pyramid when I want to write prism. This is a prism. Find the volume of the rectangular prism. You've got a length of 5.5. Here's your length. Your width of 2. And your height of 3. Go ahead and find it using the formula volume equals length times width times height. Okay, pause the video and try it. Okay, so I'm going to make this a little bit smaller so I have a bit more room to work. So I need to take my length, which is 5.5. So I'm looking for the volume. My length is 5.5. Multiply that by my width, which is 2. Multiplied by my height, which is 3. So I just multiply all three of those numbers together. And I'm going to change my 5.5 to a mixed number. 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11 halves. Times by 2 over 1, times by 3 over 1. So 11 times 2 is 22. 22 times 3 is 66. I had to think about that for a second. 2 times 1 times 1 is 2. 2 goes into 66, or half of 66 would be 33 inches cubed. Remember, I'm cubing this because we're working with volume as opposed to area or surface area. Hopefully you got that one correct. I have another one for you here. If you have questions, now would be a great time to pause and ask them. Abigail, no, not right now. I don't want to play. Okay, next one. Here is an example problem. Now, these are kind of weird, so I'm going to just show you this It's not a super important concept, so if you don't get it, it's okay. But if you do get it, then you have a little bit more background information. But there is one on your homework, so that's why I'm showing it to you. A prism is filled with 38 cubes with a side length of half of a unit. What is the volume in cubic units? So, like our jewelry box had 84 cubic units, say this prism has 38. And to find the cubic units, we're just going to take that number and divide it by 8. So 38 divided by 8 equals how much our cubic units is. Okay? And I'm going to put this in a fraction form. So 8 goes into 38 4 times, with 4 left over. That'll be my numerator. 8's my denominator. That can simplify to 1/2, so 4.5 cubic units. So really, if you see a problem like that, just remember to take the cubic units and divide it by 8. So for this next one, it says it is filled with 58 cubic units. So go ahead and solve this by finding the cubic units that are not half-sized. So following what I did on the last problem, 58 divided by 8, because there's 8 half-size and a full-size cubic unit, will give me my cubic units. 58. 8 goes into 58. 6 times. Nope. That was a lie. Sorry, 7 times. 7 times 8 is 56. Minus 2. 7 and 2/8, which can be simplified to 7 and 1/4 cubic units, or units cubed. Alright, last problem, I want you to find the volume of this cubic prism. So it's the same concept, length times width times height. Go ahead and solve now. Alright, so with my cubic volume, I'm going to do 3.5 times 3.5 times 3.5. That's my length, my width, and my height. So I need to quickly change these over. Just doing a quick estimate, 3 times 3 will be 9, and times 3 will be 27. I should get a number somewhere around 27. That's just an estimate. Okay, so that I can get close here. So 3 times 2, I'm changing these to improper fractions. They'll all be the same because 3.5 is the same improper fraction. 3 times 2 is 6, times 1 is 7/2. Okay. Now do not add these together, but multiply them. 7 times 7 times 7. So 7 times 7 is 49 times 7. Okay. Oh my goodness, I'm blanking. 45, 54, 63. There we go. I was thinking of all my 9's times tables. 28 plus 6, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35. Or 34. Yeah, 34. Must be midnight. Okay, so 343. That's a 3. I'm going to times 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. 343 divided by 8. Bring that down, 23. 8 goes into 23 twice. 16. Leaving me with 7. I got 42 and 7/8. That's kind of a little bit more than my estimate, but fairly close. And then these are inches cubed. Okay, hopefully I did that one right. I feel like it was all over the place, so if I made a mistake, please let me know. That's the end of this lesson. I know it was kind of quick and a little messy, but next lesson in the following week, we're going to be doing it deeper with more practice on volume. So if you're a little confused still, you will get more practice on this. But feel free to ask me questions and clarify your learning so that you feel confident. Thank you so much. Have a great day.